Self-discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you build, slowly, intentionally, often painfully. And yet, it is the single most powerful skill you can develop in your entire life. Because talent fades without it. Motivation disappears without it. Dreams die without it. Most people wait to feel ready. They wait for motivation. They wait for confidence. They wait for the perfect moment. But disciplined people understand something different. They understand that action comes first. Feelings come later. Self-discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. Every time you wake up and do the hard thing instead of the easy thing, you are training your mind. Every time you say no to distraction and yes to progress, you are strengthening an internal muscle. And like any muscle, self-discipline grows through resistance. The world today is designed to weaken discipline. Endless scrolling, instant gratification, comfort everywhere, noise everywhere. The average person is overstimulated and undercommitted, busy but not productive, tired but not fulfilled, and that is why self-discipline has become rare. But rarity creates value. The people who control their actions control their outcomes. The people who control their habits control their future. Self-discipline is not about punishment. It is about freedom. The freedom to decide your direction instead of being dragged by impulse. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it means forcing yourself to suffer. They think it means living without joy. That is wrong. Discipline is not about deprivation. It is about alignment. It is about bringing your daily actions in line with the life you say you want. If you say you want success but your habits reflect comfort, you don't want success. You want the idea of it. Discipline exposes truth. The truth is, nobody is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you focus. No one is going to hand you consistency. No one is going to hand you self-control. You must earn it every single day. And here's the uncomfortable part. You already know what to do. You don't lack information. You lack execution. You know when to wake up. You know what to stop doing. You know what habits are holding you back. But knowledge without discipline is useless. Awareness without action changes nothing. Self-discipline begins the moment you stop negotiating with yourself. That voice in your head that says, just today, just 5 more minutes, I'll start tomorrow. That voice is not your friend. It is the voice of comfort. And comfort is expensive. It costs you time. It costs you potential. It costs you the future you could have had. Disciplined people do not silence that voice. They simply stop obeying it. They understand that feelings are temporary, but decisions are permanent. You will never feel like doing what needs to be done. If you wait for motivation, you will stay stuck. Discipline means acting even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it, because that is when it matters most. Every disciplined action is a vote for the person you are becoming. Every undisciplined action is a vote for the person you are trying to escape. You don't need massive changes. You need controlled consistency. Small promises kept daily build trust with yourself, and self-trust is the foundation of confidence. When you keep breaking promises to yourself, you lose respect for yourself. When you keep showing up, even in small ways, you rebuild it. Self-discipline is self-respect in action. Start by doing the obvious things. Wake up when you say you will. Finish what you start. Remove distractions that don't serve you. Stop lying to yourself about being busy when you're just avoiding discomfort. Discipline thrives in structure. Chaos kills consistency. If your environment is undisciplined, your behavior will be too. Design your surroundings so discipline becomes easier and temptation becomes harder. Put friction between you and distraction. Put clarity between you and action. And understand this: discipline does not mean perfection. You will fail. You will slip. You will fall off track. The disciplined person is not the one who never fails. It is the one who refuses to quit. They don't let one bad day become a bad week. They don't let one mistake turn into an identity. They reset fast. They recommit immediately. Progress is not built on intensity. It is built on consistency. The power of self-discipline is not loud. It doesn't seek attention. It works quietly in the background, stacking small wins until one day your life looks completely different, and people will call it luck. But you will know the truth. Discipline becomes real when it turns into habit. Until then, it is fragile. Willpower alone will not save you. Willpower gets tired. Habits do not. Habits run quietly, automatically, whether you are motivated or not. That is why disciplined people focus less on intensity and more on systems. Your life today is the result of habits you repeated yesterday. Not the big decisions, the small ones, the invisible ones, the ones you barely noticed, the choice to wake up or hit snooze, the choice to focus or scroll, the choice to prepare or procrastinate. These decisions compound, and compounding works in both directions. Good habits make life easier. Bad habits make life heavier. Most people try to change their life by chasing outcomes. More money, better body, more confidence, more success. But outcomes do not change behavior. Identity does. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And habits are built by identity. Every action you take is a reflection of the person you believe you are. If you see yourself as someone who quits, you will quit. If you see yourself as someone who is disciplined, you will act accordingly. This is why real self-discipline starts internally, not externally. Stop saying, "I'm trying to be disciplined." Start saying, "I am a disciplined person." Not because it is true yet, but because it is the standard you are choosing to live by. Identity shapes behavior. Behavior reinforces identity. This loop is powerful. Use it intentionally. When you act disciplined once, you prove something to yourself. When you repeat it, you confirm it. Over time, discipline becomes who you are, not something you force. This is where most people fail. They try to change everything at once. They overload themselves. They burn out. Then they quit and blame themselves. That is not weakness. That is poor strategy. Discipline grows best in small, repeatable actions. If you want to read more, read 1 page a day. If you want to exercise, start with 5 minutes. If you want focus, remove 1 distraction. Small actions remove resistance. Consistency builds momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence fuels discipline. The goal is not to impress yourself. The goal is to prove to yourself that you can be trusted. And here is the truth many people avoid. Discipline is uncomfortable because growth is uncomfortable. The reason you avoid discipline is the same reason you avoid progress. Discipline forces you to face resistance, and resistance exposes weakness. But resistance is not the enemy. Resistance is the signal. When something feels uncomfortable, that is where growth lives. Comfort is familiar. Growth is not. Disciplined people do not avoid discomfort. They learn to move forward with it. They understand that the pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret is permanent. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is logical. Motivation says, I feel like it. Discipline says, this needs to be done. Motivation reacts to circumstances. Discipline creates results regardless of circumstances. If you build your life on motivation, you will live inconsistently. If you build it on discipline, you will live intentionally. There will be days you are tired, days you are stressed, days you feel unqualified. Discipline does not remove those days. It carries you through them. Self-discipline is not about becoming robotic. It is about becoming reliable. Reliable to your goals. Reliable to your standards. Reliable to the future version of yourself. You do not need perfect conditions. You need clear standards. Decide in advance what you do, no matter how you feel. When decisions are pre-made, excuses lose power. Disciplined people eliminate choice fatigue. They do not debate with themselves every morning. They already decided who they are and what they do. They do not ask, should I do this? They say, this is who I am. And this is where discipline becomes freedom. When you stop negotiating with weakness, your mind becomes quiet. When your actions align with your values, anxiety decreases. When you trust yourself, confidence grows naturally. Discipline simplifies life. Less chaos, less guilt, less regret, more clarity, more control, more progress. And the most important thing to understand is this. Discipline is built when no one is watching. Not when you are praised, not when you are motivated, but when it is just you and the decision to show up or walk away. That moment defines you. Discipline is tested most when temptation is close, not when life is calm, not when things are easy, but when shortcuts appear, when excuses feel reasonable, when nobody would know if you quit. That is where most people lose control. Temptation does not arrive loudly. It whispers. It disguises itself as rest, as reward, as just this once. And the dangerous part is not the temptation itself. It is the justification that follows it. The disciplined mind does not argue with temptation. It recognizes it and moves on. If you constantly negotiate with yourself, you will lose. Discipline is not a debate. It is a standard. The strongest people are not those with the most willpower. They are the ones who remove temptation before it shows up. They design their life, so discipline is the default. They don't rely on strength. They rely on structure. If distraction is everywhere, focus will be nowhere. If comfort is always available, growth will always be postponed. You cannot live in a chaotic environment and expect disciplined behavior. Your environment is shaping you more than your intentions ever will. If your phone controls your attention, your goals will never have it. If your schedule has no structure, discipline will never survive. If your routines are weak, your consistency will collapse under pressure. Disciplined people protect their focus like it is their most valuable asset, because it is. Focus is power, and power without discipline is wasted. Mental toughness is not about ignoring pain. It is about moving forward despite it. It is about staying present when discomfort appears instead of escaping it. When things get hard, most people look for relief. Disciplined people look for progress. They understand that discomfort is not a warning sign. It is a training signal. Every time you stay focused when you want to quit, you expand your capacity. Every time you push through resistance, you rewire your response to difficulty. Over time, what once felt impossible becomes normal. This is how discipline compounds. The mind adapts to whatever you repeatedly expose it to. If you repeatedly choose comfort, discomfort will feel unbearable. If you repeatedly choose discipline, discomfort becomes manageable. You are training your nervous system every day, whether you realize it or not. Routines are where discipline becomes automatic. You do not rise to discipline in chaos. You fall back on routines. A strong routine removes friction. It eliminates excuses. It turns action into habit. And habits remove the emotional weight of decision-making. When something is routine, it doesn't require motivation. It just happens. Disciplined people do not wait to feel ready. They rely on routines to carry them through resistance. Morning routines create momentum. Evening routines create recovery. Work routines create output. Without routines, discipline drains quickly. And here is the truth. Discipline is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters consistently. Busyness is not discipline. Overworking is not discipline. Discipline is intentional effort applied in the right direction. Most people burn out because they try to do everything. Disciplined people win because they focus on what matters most. They cut unnecessary effort. They eliminate distractions. They protect their energy. They respect their limits, but they do not obey them. Rest is part of discipline. Recovery is part of discipline. Sleep, nutrition, and mental space are not optional if you want long-term consistency. Burnout is not a badge of honor. Sustainability is. Discipline is not about being extreme. It is about being steady. And this is where long-term consistency is built, not through intensity, but through repetition, through showing up even when progress feels invisible. Most people quit too early, not because discipline failed, but because patience did. Results lag behind effort. Growth is delayed. Discipline works quietly before it works visibly. And if you expect instant rewards, you will abandon discipline before it has time to compound. But if you stay consistent long enough, discipline begins to change how you think, how you react, how you see yourself. You stop needing external validation. You stop chasing approval. You stop proving yourself to others. Because discipline builds internal certainty. You know who you are because you have evidence. You showed up when it was hard. You stayed consistent when it was boring. You kept going when quitting was easier. That creates unshakable confidence, not loud confidence, quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself. Self-discipline is not something you use for a season. It is something you live by. It becomes the invisible framework behind every decision you make. Not because life becomes easy, but because you become capable. At some point, discipline stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like identity. You no longer ask yourself whether you should show up. You simply do. You no longer chase motivation. You no longer wait for permission. You no longer depend on circumstances to behave at your best. You understand that discipline is not about control over the world. It is about control over yourself. And that is the highest form of power. When discipline becomes who you are, your standards rise automatically. You tolerate less distraction, less chaos, less self-betrayal. You stop explaining yourself to people who do not live by the same standards. You stop lowering your potential to fit environments that reward comfort. You begin to choose long-term respect over short-term pleasure. This is where mastery begins. Mastery is not about perfection, it is about commitment. commitment to showing up again and again, even when no one is watching, even when progress is slow, even when recognition is absent. The disciplined person understands something most people never learn. The future is built in ordinary moments, not in dramatic breakthroughs, not in emotional highs, but in quiet decisions made daily. The future version of you is watching the present version of you. Every time you choose discipline, you are sending a message forward in time. You are telling that future self, I did not quit on you. And that matters more than motivation ever could. Life will test you, stress will increase, responsibility will grow, distractions will multiply, and motivation will fade again and again. But discipline will still be there, if you build it now. Self-discipline does not make life easy. It makes life intentional. It allows you to move forward even when confidence is low. It allows you to stay consistent even when results are delayed. It allows you to remain focused when others lose direction. And over time, it creates separation, not because you are better than others, but because you are more consistent than others. Consistency creates trust. Trust creates opportunity. Opportunity rewards discipline, and eventually, people will ask how you did it. They will see the results. They will see the stability. They will see the control. They will call you lucky. But luck had nothing to do with it. It was discipline when quitting felt justified. Discipline when progress felt invisible. Discipline when nobody was clapping. That is what built everything. Remember this. Discipline is not about becoming someone new. It is about becoming who you already know you can be. You already know what needs to change. You already know what needs to stop. You already know what needs to be done. The only question left is whether you will do it consistently. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Because self-discipline is not built in the future. It is built in the present moment, right now, through the next decision you make. And if you commit to that decision again and again, your life will change. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but permanently. Discipline reaches another level when it is tested by success. Most people think discipline is hardest when life is difficult. That is only half the truth. Discipline becomes even more dangerous to lose when things start going well. When progress appears, comfort tries to return. When results show up, standards try to soften. When confidence increases, consistency is tempted to fade. This is where many people collapse. They confuse momentum with mastery. They mistake improvement for permanence. And slowly, discipline erodes, not through failure, but through relaxation. Disciplined people do not relax their standards when life improves. They raise them. They understand that discipline is not a tool you use to escape struggle. It is a code you live by to maintain progress. Success does not remove the need for discipline. It exposes whether you truly built it. True discipline is internal. It does not depend on pressure. It does not disappear when supervision ends. It does not weaken when praise increases. It remains stable because it is no longer forced. It is chosen. This is why self-discipline must eventually evolve into self-governance. You stop needing reminders. You stop needing deadlines. You stop needing fear to move you. You operate from principle, not emotion. Principles do not change with mood. They do not bend under stress. They do not disappear when nobody is watching. When discipline becomes principle, your life becomes predictable, in the best way possible. Predictable effort, predictable growth, predictable progress. And with that predictability comes peace. Most people live reactively. They respond to urgency. They chase stimulation. They let life pull them in random directions. Discipline ends that chaos. It replaces reaction with intention. You begin to act before things break down. You prepare instead of panic. You focus instead of drift. You invest instead of consume. This is the quiet power of discipline. It does not shout. It does not rush. It does not seek validation. It simply works. And over time, discipline creates space, mental space, emotional space, decision space. You are no longer overwhelmed by every obstacle because your habits are doing the heavy lifting. You are not constantly restarting because you never fully stop. That is mastery. Mastery is not intensity. Mastery is sustainability, and sustainability requires honesty. You must be honest about your limits without using them as excuses. Honest about your weaknesses without identifying with them. Honest about your distractions without defending them. Discipline grows when excuses end. Not because life becomes easier, but because you stop lying to yourself. When you stop lying, clarity appears. When clarity appears, discipline strengthens. When discipline strengthens, results follow. This is not motivation. This is alignment. Alignment between what you say matters and what you actually do. And once that alignment exists, your confidence becomes grounded. Not emotional, not fragile, but earned. You no longer need hype to move. You no longer need pressure to act. You no longer need approval to stay consistent. Because discipline has become internal authority. Discipline is revealed most clearly under pressure, not when life is organized, not when routines are smooth, but when things fall apart, when stress rises, when emotions cloud judgment, when failure hits without warning. That is when discipline separates those who grow from those who break. Stress does not destroy discipline. It exposes whether it was real to begin with. Most people abandon discipline the moment pressure increases. They justify it by saying they are overwhelmed, tired, burned out. But disciplined people understand something critical. Pressure is not an exception to discipline. It is the environment discipline was built for. If discipline only works when life is easy, it is not discipline. It is convenience. Setbacks are inevitable. Plans fail. Progress stalls. Effort goes unrewarded. Discipline is not about avoiding these moments. It is about how you respond to them. Most people respond emotionally. They spiral. They overreact. They quit entirely because one attempt did not work. Disciplined people respond strategically. They pause. They assess. They adjust. And then they continue. Failure does not mean stop. It means refine. There is no discipline without recovery. Falling off track is not the problem. Staying off track is. Disciplined people do not punish themselves for mistakes. They correct them quickly. They understand that self-criticism without action is just another form of avoidance. The goal is not to feel bad. The goal is to get back in motion. Momentum is fragile during stress. That is why disciplined people reduce the load instead of quitting completely. When life gets heavy, they shrink the task, not the standard. 5 minutes instead of 0. 1 step instead of none. Presence instead of perfection. This is how discipline survives storms. Emotional discipline matters just as much as physical discipline. The ability to regulate reactions, control impulses, and pause before responding is what protects long-term progress. Most damage is not caused by what happens to you. It is caused by how you react to it. Discipline teaches you to delay reaction, to choose response, to stay grounded when emotions try to take control. That is power. When stress hits, your mind will search for escape. Comfort will feel urgent. Distraction will feel necessary. Discipline does not deny these feelings. It simply refuses to let them decide. You are allowed to feel overwhelmed. You are not allowed to surrender control. This is where resilience is built. Resilience is not toughness. It is adaptability. It is the ability to stay committed without being rigid, to adjust your pace without abandoning direction. Disciplined people do not collapse under pressure because their identity is not tied to flawless performance. It is tied to consistency. They do not say, "I failed, so I'm done." They say, "I failed, so I'm learning." And learning sustains discipline. Setbacks are information. Stress is feedback. Failure is data. If you listen instead of react, discipline evolves. This is why disciplined people become dangerous over time. Not because they never fail, but because failure does not stop them. They build systems that can survive stress, routines that can bend without breaking, standards that adapt without disappearing. That is real self-discipline. It is not fragile. It is not dependent on perfect conditions. It is not emotional. It is resilient. And resilience creates longevity. Longevity creates mastery. And mastery creates results that last. Discipline shows its true value in how you handle work, money, and responsibility. These areas do not reward emotion. They reward consistency, patience, and long-term thinking. And that is why disciplined people eventually separate themselves from the crowd. Money responds to behavior, not intention. Income grows when effort is structured. Savings grow when impulses are controlled. Opportunities appear when reliability is proven over time. Undisciplined people chase quick wins. Disciplined people build systems. They show up when it is boring. They work when results are delayed. They prepare when others react. And over time, this creates leverage. Work ethic is not about working non-stop. It is about working with purpose. Discipline teaches you when to push and when to pause. It teaches you how to manage energy instead of wasting it. Most people confuse effort with progress. They stay busy but directionless. Disciplined people stay focused. They understand that not every task deserves attention. Focus is discipline applied to time. When your time is disciplined, your output improves. When your output improves, your value increases. And when your value increases, options expand. That is how discipline creates freedom. Financial discipline is not restriction. It is alignment. It is deciding in advance what matters more, short-term pleasure or long-term security. Every purchase is a vote. Every expense reflects priority. Disciplined people do not avoid enjoyment. They avoid regret. They delay gratification not because they cannot afford pleasure, but because they can afford patience. Over time, this patience compounds. Small financial decisions repeated consistently matter more than dramatic one-time moves. The same principle applies to career growth. Promotions, trust, and leadership are not given to the most talented. They are given to the most reliable. Reliability is discipline in action. People who keep promises to themselves keep promises to others. They meet deadlines. They respect standards. They show up prepared. And that reputation becomes currency. Discipline builds credibility. Credibility creates opportunity. This is why disciplined people are often underestimated at first. They move quietly. They build privately. They do not announce their plans, they execute them, and when results appear, they appear suddenly to everyone else. But behind that sudden success is years of disciplined effort no one noticed. Success does not reward intensity, it rewards persistence. Discipline also protects you from self-sabotage. As responsibilities grow, distractions increase. As income rises, temptation expands. Discipline prevents progress from turning into excess. It keeps you grounded when life improves. It reminds you that growth requires maintenance. Without discipline, success becomes unstable. With discipline, success becomes sustainable. And sustainability matters more than speed. Fast success without discipline creates stress. Slow success with discipline creates peace. Disciplined people do not rush the process. They trust it. They understand that meaningful results take time, and that discipline is what carries them through the waiting. This mindset changes everything. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop chasing shortcuts. You stop measuring progress emotionally. You measure progress by consistency, and consistency never lies. Discipline today faces its greatest test in the digital world. Notifications ping. Social media scrolls endlessly. Apps compete for attention. Entertainment is instant. The human brain craves novelty. And in this environment, even the strongest intentions can falter. The disciplined person does not surrender to convenience. They understand that digital distraction is the modern obstacle. It is designed to hijack focus, fragment attention, and steal time. Time, after all, is the only currency that cannot be earned back. Self-discipline in the digital age is about control. Control over what you consume, control over when you engage, and control over what deserves your mental energy. It is not about giving up technology. It is about mastering it. Set boundaries, turn off notifications, batch tasks, schedule focused work periods, protect deep work like a treasure. The more your environment encourages distraction, the more your self-discipline is tested. And the truth is, if you cannot control your digital world, you cannot control your life. Every scroll, every swipe, every impulse to check just one thing chips away at focus. Discipline is the decision to pause, to resist, to prioritize. It is saying no to short-term stimulation for long-term gain. Discipline also means digital fasting. Not forever, but intentionally. Hours without screens, days without mindless feeds, weeks without reactive engagement. When you step back, clarity appears, creativity rises, energy returns, your mind recovers. This is how disciplined people build mental leverage. They reserve attention for what matters. They avoid shallow, endless input. They focus on output that builds skills, creates value, and strengthens character. Focus itself is a superpower. In a world of constant interruption, the person who can focus deeply becomes unstoppable. Discipline protects that focus. It enforces it. It makes deep work the default, not the exception. And here is the key. Digital discipline is not punishment. It is freedom. Freedom from anxiety. Freedom from comparison. Freedom from wasted time. When your mind is clear, your decisions are sharper, your productivity rises, and your life aligns with your priorities. You will need courage, because distraction is seductive. It offers immediate pleasure disguised as relief. But relief is temporary. Results are long-term. Discipline chooses results, every time. Remember, in the digital era, every moment you spend unconsciously is a vote for someone else's agenda. Discipline lets you take back control. It lets you decide your agenda. It lets you build a life that is intentional, focused, and aligned with your highest goals. Your future self is waiting, and your present self is building it. Every hour of focus, every decision to resist distraction, every action aligned with purpose compounds. And in a world full of noise, that compounding becomes your edge. Discipline is not just about the present. It is about the life you leave behind. Your habits, your choices, your consistency. They define your legacy. Every decision you make today is a brick in the foundation of the future you and the life you will be remembered for. Most people live for the immediate. They chase comfort, pleasure, recognition, or short-term success. But disciplined people live for impact. They think in decades, not days. They understand that what they do now echoes through time, shaping outcomes long after the moment has passed. Your identity is the anchor. If you see yourself as disciplined, consistent, and focused, you will act accordingly. If you see yourself as someone who quits, procrastinates, or settles, you will fall into that identity. The future is a mirror reflecting the person you are becoming today. Legacy is built quietly. It is not about announcements or applause. It is about showing up day after day when no one is watching. It is about doing the right thing, even when it is uncomfortable. It is about honoring your word to yourself and others. The most powerful people are those who combine self-discipline with vision. They know what they want, why they want it, and what it will take to achieve it. And then they act consistently, relentlessly, without relying on motivation, without seeking approval, without being swayed by circumstance. Self-discipline is the ultimate gift you give to your future self. It compounds silently. It strengthens over time. It protects you from regret. It creates opportunities that luck alone cannot provide. It builds character, resilience, and mastery. When you practice discipline, you are building a life that others may admire but cannot replicate easily. You are creating separation, not arrogance, not superiority, but the results of consistent action. Your life becomes predictable in its excellence because your habits are strong, your focus is clear, and your actions are aligned with your highest purpose. And here is the final truth. Nothing matters more than your choices. Every moment is an opportunity to reinforce who you are. Every day is a chance to show that your standards are non-negotiable. Every action either builds or erodes your future. You do not need permission to be disciplined. You do not need circumstances to be perfect. You do not need others to motivate you. You have everything you need inside yourself. The awareness, the capacity, and the power to act. Start now, not tomorrow, not next week. Start today, in the small moments, with the decisions you can control. Master your focus. Protect your routines. Guard your attention. Refuse to compromise on your principles. And over time, your life will tell the story of your discipline. This is how greatness is built. Not in bursts of effort, not in moments of luck, not in emotional highs, but in consistent, intentional action, repeated daily until it becomes who you are. Your future self will thank you. Your life will reflect your choices. Your legacy will be defined not by what you dreamed, but by what you did consistently when no one was watching. Discipline is the invisible force shaping every outcome. It is the silent architect of success. It is the power behind mastery, freedom, and achievement. And it is yours if you choose it today. And discipline extends beyond your personal habits. It shapes the people you surround yourself with, the conversations you engage in, and the environment you inhabit. Your social circle is a reflection of your standards. If you tolerate mediocrity, distraction, and negativity around you, it will erode your discipline. If you choose influence wisely, it will amplify your focus. The disciplined person evaluates relationships based on alignment, not convenience. They understand that who you spend time with directly affects who you become. Energy is contagious. Values are contagious. Habits are contagious. Surround yourself with the people who elevate your standards, challenge your growth, and encourage consistency. Discipline also means protecting your time. Not everyone deserves access to your attention. Not every opinion deserves weight. Not every emergency is actually urgent. Boundaries are not selfish, they are essential. Every boundary enforced is an investment in your long-term potential. Influence matters. The media you consume, the conversations you participate in, and the examples you follow all shape your mind. A disciplined mind chooses input carefully. It prioritizes knowledge, inspiration, and growth over entertainment, gossip, and negativity. Your environment is a silent partner in your self-discipline. Organized spaces foster organized minds. Clean spaces reduce friction. A cluttered, chaotic environment constantly tests your focus. Design your surroundings to make the disciplined choice easier and the undisciplined choice harder. In relationships, discipline manifests as reliability. You show up when you said you would. You respect commitments. You communicate clearly. This is the currency of trust. Trust compounds over time, just like self-discipline. Broken trust erodes opportunity. Maintained trust opens doors. The disciplined person also chooses influence over control. You cannot change everyone, but you can lead by example. Your habits, your consistency, and your unwavering standards inspire others. Influence is earned, not demanded, and discipline is the foundation of that credibility. Your social discipline is tested in moments of peer pressure, convenience, or conflict. The choice to stay aligned with your values, even when it is unpopular, defines character. People who are easily swayed will follow the crowd. People who are disciplined shape it. Discipline is contagious. Surround yourself with consistency, and you will adopt it naturally. Surround yourself with chaos, and your progress will erode. Choose wisely. Ultimately, your environment and social choices are extensions of your internal discipline. You cannot be more disciplined than the standards you maintain externally. And by controlling what surrounds you, you protect your focus, your routines, and your potential. Discipline is not just about control over self. It is about control over influence, input, and context. Master these, and your life becomes an environment where excellence is inevitable. Every decision, every boundary, every association, every input is a vote for the person you are becoming. Make these decisions consistently. Guard them as fiercely as you guard your habits. And your life will reflect the discipline you have cultivated every day after. Your body is the first instrument of discipline. Without physical control, mental control becomes fragile. Energy is the currency of productivity. Sleep, nutrition, exercise, they are not optional. They are the foundation upon which all other discipline is built. Most people underestimate the cost of neglecting their body. Fatigue, lack of focus, and low energy are silent saboteurs. Discipline in health is not about aesthetics. It is about functionality. It is about giving yourself the energy and clarity to execute your goals consistently. Exercise is a daily commitment, not a motivation-based decision. You will rarely feel like doing it, but the disciplined person does it anyway. Small, consistent workouts compound into strength, stamina, and resilience. Physical discipline translates into mental toughness. Nutrition is another pillar. Discipline is choosing what nourishes your body, even when cravings scream otherwise. Skipping processed indulgences, controlling portion sizes, and prioritizing fuel over flavor strengthens self-control. Every disciplined meal reinforces habit, character, and self-respect. Sleep is non-negotiable. The world glorifies overworking, late nights, and hustle culture, but disciplined people know that rest is strategy. Sleep restores the body, consolidates memory, and primes the mind for focus and productivity. Without it, mental discipline falters. Recovery is not laziness, it is preparation. Discipline is knowing when to push and when to recharge. Ignoring rest leads to burnout, frustration, and poor decision-making. Strategic recovery ensures that effort is sustainable over time. Energy management extends beyond physical health. It is also about mental and emotional regulation. Avoid unnecessary stress. Reduce friction in decisions. Protect focus. Avoid low-value conflicts. Every choice that preserves energy compounds over time, allowing discipline to remain strong when it matters most. Discipline in the body reflects discipline in life. If you cannot control your energy, you will surrender to distraction. If you cannot respect your health, you will compromise on your goals. Physical discipline is proof that you are capable of consistent action. Every time you push yourself to move when tired, eat what fuels you instead of what comforts you, or sleep on time despite temptation, you reinforce the neural pathways of self-control. Over time, discipline becomes automatic. It is no longer a struggle. It is a standard. Physical mastery also builds confidence. You carry yourself differently when you respect your body. You think differently when energy is abundant. Your ability to stay consistent in work, learning, and focus increases exponentially. Health is leverage. Energy is leverage. Discipline in these areas compounds into all others. The person who ignores physical discipline will struggle to maintain mental, financial, or social discipline. The person who masters energy management gains freedom, freedom to focus, freedom to act, freedom to create. Discipline in health is not about perfection, it is about priorities. Consistency matters more than intensity. Showing up daily, even imperfectly, is what creates long-term results. Skipping occasionally does not break discipline. Abandoning standards does. Your future self will reflect the choices you make today. Will you fuel them properly? Will you rest them adequately? Will you move them consistently? Discipline answers yes. And through these disciplined choices, everything else in life becomes easier. Discipline in learning separates those who drift through life from those who master it. Knowledge alone is useless without the consistent application to build skill. Reading a book once does not change you. Practicing a skill once does not make you expert. Discipline turns learning into results. Most people approach growth sporadically. They jump from course to course, idea to idea without focus. They chase novelty instead of mastery. The disciplined person understands that real growth is the result of repetition, deep focus, and deliberate practice over time. Skill mastery requires daily attention. Even 30 minutes of focused learning, repeated consistently, compounds into extraordinary capability over months and years. The brain adapts to what you practice. Discipline ensures that adaptation is intentional, not accidental. Discipline also means prioritizing long-term knowledge over short-term entertainment. The average person scrolls endlessly, absorbing distraction. The disciplined learner schedules dedicated time for reading, studying, or practicing. They remove interruptions, protect focus, and commit fully to improvement. Feedback is part of the process. Discipline means seeking it, accepting it, and acting on it. It requires humility and patience. Growth is not linear, and setbacks are inevitable. But disciplined learners persist, refining their approach, adjusting strategies, and iterating consistently. Time is the ultimate lever. Small, repeated actions over years create mastery that appears impossible to those who chase instant results. Discipline allows you to compound knowledge, skill, and expertise. One disciplined hour today yields exponential results in the future. Self-education requires focus, structure, and standards. Choose what is worth your time. Prioritize learning that builds competence, confidence, and capability. Ignore distractions. Say no to what does not align with your goals. Your mind is a garden. Discipline determines whether it grows weeds or harvests abundance. Discipline also means integrating learning into action. Knowledge without execution is wasted potential. Every skill you acquire must be applied consistently. Practice, repetition, and accountability are the bridges between theory and results. The disciplined learner does not quit when mastery is difficult. They embrace challenge, complexity, and failure as essential parts of growth. They do not compare themselves to those who give up. They measure progress against their own standards. Personal growth is cumulative. Discipline links every area of life, body, mind, social circle, work, finances, into a coherent system. Each area strengthens the others. Physical energy fuels focus. Mental clarity enhances learning. Emotional regulation stabilizes decision-making. Discipline compounds. Your future self depends on what you learn and practice today. Every book you read, every skill you practice, every habit you refine is a vote for the person you are becoming. The disciplined learner does not leave it to chance. They create certainty in an uncertain world. Learning is not a phase, it is a lifestyle. Discipline ensures that lifestyle becomes non-negotiable. You do not wait for motivation. You do not wait for circumstances. You do not wait for permission. You act consistently, and over time, the compounding effect of disciplined learning transforms your life. Discipline begins in the mind. Your thoughts shape your actions. Your emotions influence your decisions. If your mind is reactive, inconsistent, or undisciplined, your life will mirror that chaos. The disciplined person cultivates mental control as the foundation for all success. Emotional discipline is not suppression. It is mastery. It is the ability to feel without being driven by fleeting impulses. Anger, fear, doubt, or excitement may arise, but disciplined minds decide their response. They act intentionally, not reactively. Most people let circumstances dictate their state. One setback ruins their focus. One critique shakes their confidence. One distraction breaks their rhythm. Discipline creates stability amidst chaos. It builds an internal environment where decisions are based on principle, not emotion. Decision-making is where discipline compounds. Each choice is a test of standards. Will you follow through with your plan? Will you prioritize long-term gain over short-term relief? Will you act according to principle rather than impulse? Disciplined minds answer yes consistently. Mental frameworks matter. Stoicism teaches that we do not control events, only our response. Disciplined people internalize this. They accept reality as it is, not as they wish it to be. They focus on what they can influence and let go of what they cannot. This mental clarity prevents wasted energy and emotional exhaustion. Discipline also requires reflection. Regular self-assessment, honest evaluation of progress, and adjustment of strategy are essential. Without reflection, habits become rote. Without awareness, discipline decays. The disciplined mind continually calibrates itself. Visualization and planning amplify mental discipline. The person who clearly sees the steps to their goals and prepares for obstacles strengthens their ability to act consistently. The mind that rehearses adversity handles real adversity with composure. The disciplined mind avoids reactive decisions. Impulse, emotion, and external pressure are filtered through principle. They pause, assess, and choose action aligned with their identity and long-term vision. This ability compounds over years, creating outcomes that seem effortless to outsiders. Self-discipline also includes mental recovery. Stress, fatigue, and overwhelm degrade judgment. The disciplined individual protects mental space, reduces cognitive clutter, and ensures clarity before major decisions. Meditation, journaling, planning, and focused downtime are not luxuries. They are strategies. Ultimately, mental discipline underpins every other type of discipline: physical, social, financial, or digital. Without control over thought and emotion, other efforts become fragmented, inconsistent, and easily undermined. Discipline in mindset creates resilience. It allows you to act when others panic, decide when others hesitate, and persist when others quit. Discipline is the backbone of wealth. Most people chase quick wins, hoping for luck or shortcuts. Discipline creates compounding results, reliability, and consistent growth, the real foundation of financial freedom. Income without discipline is wasted. Spending without discipline is destructive. Investments without discipline are risky. Discipline ensures that every dollar, every hour, every effort is aligned with long-term goals. Financial discipline begins with control over daily habits. Tracking expenses, budgeting, and prioritizing value over impulse is the first step. Small, consistent actions, saving a portion of income, avoiding unnecessary debt, investing intelligently, compound into wealth over time. The disciplined professional shows up consistently. They meet deadlines, exceed expectations, and build credibility. Reputation is currency. Reliability builds opportunity. People hire, promote, and trust those who consistently deliver. Career growth is rarely about talent alone. It is about consistency, preparation, and execution. A disciplined person is always learning, improving, and positioning themselves strategically. They are patient, they are persistent, they do the work even when no one notices. Disciplined financial behavior protects against volatility. The market will fluctuate, jobs will change, life will throw challenges. But disciplined saving, investing, and spending provides a buffer. It creates freedom to act rather than react. Every financial decision is a test of self-discipline. Impulse buying, procrastination on investment, chasing trends, all erode long-term wealth. The disciplined individual makes decisions based on principle, not emotion. They delay gratification today for freedom tomorrow. Discipline also involves risk management. Taking calculated risks, protecting assets, and avoiding overexposure are signs of a mature, disciplined approach. Patience is rewarded. Recklessness is punished. Wealth is built quietly, consistently, and intentionally. Discipline in work and money compounds like nothing else. It turns small efforts into leverage. Hours invested in learning, networking, and execution grow into influence, leadership, and financial independence. The results may be invisible for months or years, but when they appear with magnitude. True financial discipline is holistic. It integrates mind, body, habits, focus, and environment. Without discipline in other areas, money slips through fingers. With it, wealth becomes predictable, sustainable, and powerful. The disciplined individual is not enslaved by money. They control it. They use it to create freedom, opportunity, and impact. Discipline allows them to act decisively, invest wisely, and grow consistently. And the most important truth, wealth is not just accumulation, it is leverage. Leverage of time, energy, influence, and opportunity. Discipline multiplies leverage in every area of life. Every disciplined choice today increases freedom tomorrow. The path to financial independence is not glamorous. It is not flashy. It is built on daily, consistent, intentional action. Discipline ensures that every decision, every effort, and every habit contributes to long-term prosperity. This is why the disciplined live differently. They are not luckier. They are not smarter. They are consistent, patient, and intentional. Their wealth is a reflection of the discipline they apply daily, quietly, relentlessly. The digital age is the ultimate test of self-discipline. Notifications, endless scrolling, constant updates, they are engineered to steal attention and fragment focus. Undisciplined people drift, react, and waste hours every day. Disciplined people control technology instead of being controlled by it. Focus is the rarest skill today. Discipline creates it. It allows you to complete deep work, produce meaningful results, and protect your energy from constant intrusion. Social media, email, and instant messaging are not inherently bad, but without rules, they become chains. The disciplined digital user establishes boundaries. Scheduled email checks, limited social media usage, focused work blocks, digital clutter is minimized. Every decision about technology is intentional, not reactive. Notifications are not status, they are interruptions. The disciplined mind silences what does not serve purpose. Every ping is evaluated. Does it add value or distract? Distractions are removed, friction is increased for time-wasting activities, and clarity is prioritized. Content consumption is deliberate. The disciplined individual consumes knowledge that improves skill, mindset, and capability. They avoid mindless scrolling, reactive clicking, and emotional triggers. Their attention is invested, not spent. The modern world rewards reaction, but discipline rewards action. Undisciplined users react to notifications, news, and trends. Disciplined users act according to plan, principles, and priorities. They create output instead of consuming endlessly. Digital routines mirror physical and mental routines. Morning, afternoon, and evening practices protect attention and energy. Work, learning, rest, and connection are all scheduled intentionally. Chaos is minimized. Productivity is maximized. Energy is finite. Discipline in the digital realm ensures that energy is applied to creation, growth, and meaningful impact, not to distraction, comparison, or trivial stimulation. Every choice compounds. Every habit matters. The disciplined individual understands that technology can magnify their influence, efficiency, and knowledge, but only if controlled. Uncontrolled technology diminishes results, focus, and even mental health. Productivity is not about working harder. It is about working intentionally. It is about controlling your inputs, minimizing reactive behavior, and maintaining focus on what truly matters. Over time, digital discipline creates leverage. Time previously wasted is reclaimed. Mental clarity is strengthened. Results compound quietly while others remain distracted. Freedom is restored in an age designed to steal it. In the modern world, self-discipline is more than habits. It is control over attention, energy, and focus. It is creating an environment where productivity, learning, and growth are inevitable. And the disciplined person thrives, not by chance, but by choice, using technology as a tool, not a master. Discipline is not only about today, it is about the life you leave behind. Every action, every habit, every choice compounds, not just for you, but for the people you influence, the legacy you create, and the impact you leave on the world. Most people live as though life is temporary, short, and reactive. They chase comfort, distraction, and approval. The disciplined understand that life is cumulative. What you build consistently today shapes decades tomorrow. Discipline is the bridge between potential and lasting impact. Legacy is not fame. Legacy is results. It is the evidence of intentional living. It is the structures, habits, knowledge, and influence that outlast fleeting moments. The disciplined person builds for permanence, not applause. Long-term discipline requires vision. You must see beyond immediate satisfaction, beyond short-term reward. You must act with purpose that stretches across years, even decades. The future is shaped by what you choose consistently now. Every action becomes a statement, every habit a vote, every day a chance to prove to your future self that you were worthy of the life you desired. Discipline is the communication between your present and future self. Discipline also safeguards reputation and relationships. Integrity, consistency, and reliability are invisible forces that shape influence. People trust those who are disciplined. Opportunities seek them out. Connections strengthen. Impact multiplies. The disciplined do not leave life to chance. They do not rely on talent, luck, or external validation. They rely on process, standards, and consistent execution. They understand that the greatest form of power is self-governance, the ability to control thoughts, emotions, habits, and actions over time. Mastery is the natural outcome. Not mastery of a single skill, but mastery of life. Discipline compounds in every area: physical, mental, financial, social, digital, and emotional. When all areas align, the person operates with clarity, focus, and unstoppable momentum. Even in adversity, the disciplined thrive. Setbacks are temporary. Challenges are tests. Failures are lessons. Momentum is built quietly in the background, unseen by the world, until the results become undeniable. This is the ultimate freedom. Freedom from distraction, chaos, impulsivity, and regret. Freedom to focus on what matters most. Freedom to create, to influence, and to leave a lasting mark. Self-discipline is not easy. It is demanding. It is uncomfortable. It requires patience, persistence, and unrelenting commitment. But the reward is everything that others chase and rarely achieve: clarity, control, progress, and legacy. If you found this audiobook helpful and want to unlock the full power of self-discipline in your life, make sure to subscribe now and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new motivational audio. Remember, self-discipline is built one choice at a time. The next step is yours. Start today, stay consistent, and watch your life transform. If you want more powerful strategies, Check out our next video, where we dive even deeper into building unstoppable habits and long-term success. Don't wait. Your future self is counting on you. Subscribe now for weekly motivational audiobooks designed to help you grow, succeed, and master your life.